Gang since potty train. You are now in the building watching J.U.K Sports Show. I am your host, King Ralph. You see it at the bottom of the screen over there. My boy, my co-host, Kai.
K
What's
to
happening,
the
bro?
A
How you
to the
feeling, man?
I. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling wonderful, man. It's good to be back. You know what I'm saying? Back in the saddle or whatever they call it. I don't know. But we back here, man. I don't know what that meant,
it,
bro.
it it has felt like a minute. I know we skipped last week.
Yeah, last week. But we
A
did a
part of
show
me
before
feels
that.
like, did we do a show before that, or was it 2 weeks
No,
before that?
I had the funeral situation. But then so it might have been 2 weeks.
Maybe that's why it feels so long.
It has. Yeah, because yeah.
But
Yeah.
we back in this thing. Before we get started, though, send a shout out to the sponsors. We ain't been around in a minute, but we ain't forget
Yeah.
about you guys. You want to do any podcast photo shoots, music videos, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And before we
Mhm.
get jumping, uh, we've been doing numbers with our Instagram reels, but make sure you go and like and follow our Instagram page, J.U.K Sports Show. Go on Facebook and YouTube, subscribe, like, and share the He Say, She Say, all one word channel.
And
Make
TikTok.
sure you go on all of my socials and go under KYNGRALPH for TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, add an underscore for Twitter.
And you can follow me on IG, the Gram, man. Grammy family. Grammy's coming up. I know off topic, but at the dot house hoops. Once again, that's at the dot house hoops for NBA player news, highlights, and analysis, man.
Facts. And I will be breaking down the Grammy nominations on my,
I was just,
my individual YouTube channel.
I was gonna ask about that, man. Everyone definitely try to peep that out too, man. If you can plug that,
It
so
is some egregious nominations on there, but that's another topic for another show. But before we get jumping, man, I just want to do a little 15
yeah,
seconds of silence for the three players that Virginia football players that were slain in a shooting over the weekend. I believe it was Sunday night. Tragic situation. I'm not gonna get into what happened and all of that because I'll get too emotional because I get emotional about these things,
yeah.
especially with the conversation of the Kyrie Irving situation where we want people to fight for us, but at the same time we killing ourselves. So,
Mm.
15 seconds. Start it now. All right. And we jumping straight in, man. 2 minute drill. See what I did there? Sports show.
I like that.
Ha ha ha. But there was an egregious face mask call in last night's game, the Commanders and the Eagles.
Hmm.
There was a fumble on the play. When they did a review of the play, you can see that someone clearly grabbed a face mask. Now, right now, you cannot challenge a penalty. Should this be something that not necessarily should you be able to challenge it, but if you go back and you're doing a review of a play, should they put it up to be changed where you can catch a penalty that was not called on the first go around?
I believe they should, because I feel like there's some form of competitive advantage. In some degree, I know competitive advantage usually can be within talent, insider information, all that kind of stuff. But on the field play, if it's blatant as day as an official, and your job is to ref the game properly, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's something like where there's a fumble, because what can a fumble constitute? A fumble can constitute as a change of possession. A fumble can constitute as a loss of yardage. Therefore, right, having to have a longer drive, or a turnover and downs, or someone else getting the football, that so many different things. And so I think that if it's something that's blatant, that can actually directly have a impact on the game, then absolutely. So I've always been for it. I wish you could do that in Madden, but you can't even do it in Madden. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's something that when they what is it, the committee or whatever, Ralph, when they like vote on these things in the off season and stuff like that, I think they should just bring it up and vote on it. So
I
put it
agree
to a
with you,
vote.
man. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But like I said, 2 minute drill ain't got enough time for that. So
Yeah.
on to the next one. 2 minute drill, one more time. Lakers defeat the Brooklyn Nets. Patrick Beverly, you know he gonna talk his
Yeah.
sugar honey iced tea. They asked him what was the difference of being able to stop the Brooklyn Nets. He says, sugar honey iced tea, it was me guarding Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Is he on to something or is he tweaking?
He's tweaking. I think Patrick Beverly's actually a good defender. I've seen him defend KD multiple times, but ever since that Warriors thing, when Kevin Durant's like, you know who I am, I'm not worried about. I've seen the game. I would say he had an off night, but somewhat. But nah, I don't. Personally, I was looking at stats. I'm like, nah, just nah, no, no, nope. Like I can't. It's the Michael Jordan laptop thing, man. It's maybe his mouth bothered KD during the game, and that threw him off. But and I like Pat Bev. Shout out to the dead homie Pat Bev, man. But yeah,
Yeah, bro.
nah.
I like Pat Bev, man. I be
I
wanting
like
to,
him.
and I am okay with confidence,
Right.
but like false confidence is a thing,
Yeah.
and it's like there's some times where, and we were both athletes and we played basketball and watched
Yep.
basketball and
Ran track
sometimes
too. All that.
in track, all of that.
Yep.
And there are some times where you're in the right place at the right time. And there's some times where you're in the right place at the right time and you call certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that he's a great defender. But if someone's 6, 7 foot and they shoot above their head,
Right.
I don't care if you stop them from getting to a certain point or not. You're not blocking them from shooting.
Right.
So if he misses, I don't necessarily think it has much to do with Patrick Beverly.
Yeah.
So I disagree, but I don't have any problem with confidence. I just got a problem with false confidence.
Yep.
And on to the last one, the style bender. Israel Adesanya loses in a TKO in the 5th round on Saturday night to Alex Pereira. Now, if you know the history between the two, their history goes back before Adesanya was in the UFC to kickboxing, and he was knocked out twice by Alex Pereira. Now this is his 3rd one. And anybody that he's fought in his division is pretty much dominated. So, does this lead you to believe that this is just like, this that guy that just got his number, and there's nothing he can do about it?
I think so. I think that, like we talked about before the show, sometimes there's always that one opponent that is like that thorn in your side. It almost seemed it was almost kind of reminiscent of, like I said, what is it, Aaron Rodgers and the 49ers. So I just
Right.
can't get over that hurdle. And I think what happens is once you said that he's already got him to the 3rd time, I think what it is, Ralph, is it becomes a mental hurdle. It also has something to do with the style, and also mentally now it's like, bro, this dude is like me. I'm like, I just can't, you know what I'm saying? And then what happens is you start telling yourself in your head, it's like, bro, I just can't beat this dude the way that he attacks me. And so I think it's more of a mental. It's a style, but also it's become mental. And so I think some people have your number in that regard with this fight. So that's
And I
my
went into it.
brief
I went
analysis.
into it too, man, and I think that that's
Yeah,
just really what it is, man.
yeah,
I think the length of the fight kind of gives you some
hmm
hope, but at the same time, losing in that fashion, where I didn't really get a chance to watch the fight because I was
hmm
celebrating my birthday. That night, I went to a dinner, and then after the dinner, man, that steak dinner kind of put your boy on
yeah.
in that sleep coma. So when I
The,
woke
the
up,
Titus.
it was like, what? He got knocked. So
You
it's
woke
just
up to
like
that
I think,
sports center highlight.
yeah, bro. So like I think that it just sucks. It sucks that the way that it happened, but I think that going forward, it's a mental aspect that comes into the fight when you start thinking too much, you're already defeated. And so I
Yeah.
think that him losing the twice before he got his fame and now losing on the biggest stage in the manner in which he lost. It's just that person that I think that Alex Pereira just got his number. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what happens going forward. If they fight again, do they run it back? How long does Alex Pereira have this run?
Right.
And on to the next one. So we have created our own awards. Juke Boys NFL Players of the Week. And if you've seen our Instagram page, I've been posting our Juke Boys Sports on our Juke Boys Sports Show page. I've been doing the Juke Boys NFL Players of the Week for the past couple of weeks anyway, but that was our first time doing it on the show. So we're going to go straight into the AFC. Personally, can't stand this guy. He's in my division. And yes, I hold grudges.
Ain't nothing wrong
but
with that.
When you go and you look at the numbers, 26 out of 35, 74% completion percentage, 331 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Pat Mahomes balled out in a big way. In a big way. So shout out to him from the Juke Boys. Was there anybody that you thought could have overtaken him?
In the AFC?
Yeah.
Nah, not this week. There was a couple guys that played well. Like, Tua always, puts up numbers. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I think that their defense, or should I say that Miami defense has really slipped into, some like, whoo, and they can't stop dual threat quarterbacks. That's a whole nother story. But, excuse me, Tua's always going to put up touchdowns, yards, and all that. But Pat Mahomes, he's in, what do you call it? He's not, what do you call it? Prime peak. As like he's still young. So it's like he's gonna be in his prime for a while, bro, in the quarterback situation. So yeah. And I've continued to say, bro, he's the best quarterback, with all due respect to every other quarterback in the league. He's the number one quarterback, and there really shouldn't be a debate. Maybe you have a better season than him, maybe 1 year or something, if that. But he's still but that doesn't mean that you're better than him. I have not yet seen anyone, Ralph, I'll end it with, who's played the position better than him since his MVP season, with the exception of like Lamar, but it was just a different style that 1 year. But Patrick Mahomes is the clear-cut best quarterback, and that Andy Reid thing, come on, man. Like, he's 4 touchdowns. Come on.
Match made in heaven.
Thank you. There you go. You get it. Yeah, exactly. You get it.
AFC Defensive Player of the Week. We got Alex Highsmith from the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 sacks, 5 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 forced fumble. And with this one, I'll take the lead on this one. When I was looking at just people that stood out, it wasn't really much that stood out to me when like the 3 numbers that you went look. And one of the things that I kind of do when I've been doing lately, if I don't personally get to see someone that stuck out to me, I go and I look at Pro Football Focus, and I'll say who graded at each position, and then I'll kind of go based off of each position and look at what they did, and if those stats as well as the tape jumped out to me. It was a bunch of it was a good amount of tackles, but didn't really have any QB hits, didn't really have any pressures, no interceptions. So that was why when you look at it all the way from a forced fumble to a tackle in the backfield, while also getting 2 sacks and 5 tackles, Alex Highsmith was out there balling. And for me, that's why I didn't really have anybody that stuck out to me. Someone on his team got another look, Cam Hayward. And outside of that, there was really nobody else that really stuck out to me enough to even deserve this award.
Hey, the Steelers defense may not be the steel curtain anymore, but they definitely have guys that know who can step up in certain moments. Obviously, this is without T.J. Watt, and now it looks like, Ralph, they're going to be without Minkah Fitzpatrick for some time due to injury. So I look at that, and just they're going to need guys who can, make an impact on the defensive side of the ball. So definitely shout out to Highsmith. As a Baltimore Raven fan, that's a rival, but he definitely earned it. He was everywhere. He impacted the game on multiple levels. True.
And that's when you got to take your bias out of it and just say, hey, more power to you, Brody. You did your thing. This next one, was kind of hard because Justin Fields balled out. 4 touchdowns in total, over 300 yards in total. But his team lost.
Yeah.
And so, in the manner in which Justin Jefferson was able to pull his team to a victory, that crazy, he took Odell Beckham's catch and took it to the next level. 10 receptions, almost 200 yards, a touchdown, and almost 20 yards per catch.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to defeat them numbers, man. But
20 yards per catch, bro.
right,
And
20 yards.
it wasn't just like, oh, one Tyreek Hill thing, and I'm not, like, no, he still got multiple targets, bro, and it was catching everything, bro.
True, true.
It's like, bro, you
And
can't stop him.
even if you add in his targets, he had
Mhm.
12 yards per target.
That's insane. That's insane.
So
I
like
Yeah.
he balled out, bro.
He balled out, and the thing with Justin Jefferson is, I believe going into the season we did our wide receiver rankings, and I think I had him number 3 behind Devontae Adams and Cooper Cup, and I said that I believe that Justin Jefferson at the end of the season could be the best receiver in the NFL, and he's been playing like the best receiver in the NFL this season, and he's in high matchup games. With the exception, I believe, there's one game you might remember. He played against somebody. He got it was the Eagles. Darius Slay, big play Slay. So games like that, I want to see him still perform. You know what I'm saying? Now, no disrespect to Slay. Slay's a premier corner, but it's against a guy like a Darius Slay. I would still like Justin Jefferson to be able to get off. But in this game, the catch was crazy. And we talked about it before the show. For someone to put context behind it, people, for someone to actually be leaning back like that, and someone's trying to pry the ball like, and you're doing it with one hand, his offhand or whatever, and still catch it, and then as you're going to the ground, you're making contact with the ground, so you're gonna have pressure going against you, and for him to hold on to it is that's insane. And the last thing I was gonna say was I called Justin Jefferson the X factor of that team, and his superstar Madden X factor was definitely X activated in
Oh
that
man,
game.
play.
So yeah, that's
Yes.
all I got. I love watching Justin Jefferson play, and I actually have him over Jamar Chase because I actually think he's a better receiver. There's not that far, but I do think he's a better receiver in terms of just his body contortion, his hands, and all that kind of stuff. But I think I think the difference, Ralph, is Jamar Chase. There's some raw skills that he has that he just needs to refine. Where Justin Jefferson's a little more refined, but Jamar
Right.
plays with Burrow, so he gets more acclaim. I think, if that makes sense.
I agree with that. I can see that because
Okay.
I think that he
Yeah.
does have. I think he's a better route runner.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Jamar Chase has that ability to take that slant to the crib, and I don't think
Yeah.
that Justin Jefferson has that.
Not in that way.
But
Not
I
in that
do
way at
think
all.
that once the ball's in the air, there isn't a better go get the ball receiver than Justin Jefferson, and he showed you that
Yeah.
on Sunday evening. And then on last but not least, the OG plays on the same team and played at the same college.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually happy because I thought his career was over once he left Arizona. Patrick Peterson with 4 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions.
Mm.
And he came up with a clutch interception to seal the victory.
Seal the deal.
So, shouts out to him. I really didn't have anybody that was even close, in my personal opinion. I don't know about you.
I didn't.
Right. If for me, that was one of the ones that like I didn't really have to go look. I kind of already had an idea in my head who was
Yeah.
getting that.
We saw the play. The moment the play happened, I was like, "Well, I know who I'm sending to Ralph." I'm like,
Exactly.
I'm gonna put some filler players in it behind him, but
Right, right.
oh, yeah, man. No, it was a clutch play. So clutch play, clutch moment. Big. I'm gonna call him Big Play Pat, or hey, Big Play Pat. There we go. For the um for the week, man. Like we like Patrick Peterson. He's still getting it done. On yeah, it was beautiful. And as an AFC contender, I have no problem with the Bills continuing to lose games. So I'm cool.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
cool. You know,
And that game should have even got to overtime, but that's a whole other thing in itself.
facts.
And you see me rocking my cup and we're
Yeah.
playing terribly.
You might want to put some black tape over the logo now. It's kind of
For real, it hurts. As you see, I rock my teams proudly,
there we go.
regardless of where we're at in life. But you see them get emotional at the press conference,
Mm.
and I personally have been coming to bat for this man for the longest period of time. But now with so much, even I went into the season saying this was his year to show us what
Hmm.
he really truly had in the tank. And is he a needle changer, or is he just a guy that just gets it done, but you're not really going to win much with him?
Right.
So, how much blame do you think he deserves? And I'll let you go first because I'm biased.
45%. So 45%, I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna shave off because I was gonna say half and half, but it's a team effort, so you know how that goes.
Right.
But but I'm gonna say 45% because I truly believe overall in this league, coaching matters, and so we're seeing it more than ever in this season, right? But with Derek Carr, he's always been someone. I said him and Dak are like, and I was actually talking to a Cowboys fan yesterday in another fantasy football chat. Shout out to him. But he thought it was blasphemy that I put him and Dak Prescott in the same sentence, and how he thought that Dak Prescott was he thought Dak Prescott was exponentially like better, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Anyway, so
Yeah, that's.
I'll let you get to that. He's a Cowboys fan though, man.
But be real with
Hey,
yourself.
hey, look, Derek Carr was at least like somewhere in MVP voting at some point in his career. But yeah, I just don't feel like he's a ceiling raiser. He does make some questionable throws. I think that with Raider Nation, not calling anyone out, but I do feel like some people do give him a little bit too long of a leash or try to say, well, he's a nice guy. I'm like, cool, I want results. Um,
On that.
and if you say anything objective or critical about him, you speaking evil of Derek Carr. That being said, his speech, wasn't really feeling it. But I've seen better Oscars, but better Oscar warrants and speeches. Man, he's like, we can't even sleep and eat at night or whatever he was saying. I don't know what he's talking about, bro, half the time. But Josh McDaniels, bro, the Patriot way is dead, bro. In 2023,
So,
It ain't working in New
to,
England.
to segue into it, how much blame does he get?
Right. It ain't working in New England. It ain't working here, bro. He gets like 80, 90% of blame. I don't know, bro. A lot of the blame. My numbers are all, bro. Bro, I hit you up, bro. I was like, yo, they need to get the ghost of Bear Bryant. They need to get um I thought about doing a show topic, and I thought that you might think I'm trolling, but I'm serious, bro. I was gonna show topic, should Deion Sanders be the new head coach of the Vegas Raiders, bro? Bro,
Bro, that would be hard.
he's he knows the NFL. He knows players, right? He knows locker rooms. Hey,
For the
and he's
culture, I want him to stay where he's at.
right,
For the
right, right.
Raiders culture, I want him to
Hey,
come be our coach.
hey, exactly. So I
But he
just
said himself though he don't want to be out. He don't want to be no NFL coach
oh well, okay, there you go. So, but yeah, that's
because
all I was gonna
they get
say.
paid to do some of this stuff, and he's to do these things, and he's like, y'all get paid, so I don't want to hear no excuses.
Yeah,
You gonna
but
be
I'm,
great or
I'm
you're not gonna be great.
right. But I'm gonna let you get your stuff off. But I just Josh McDaniels, man. Like it's for me. In short, I see Derek Carr sometimes he's over reliant on Devonte Adams. And in 1 week he's not getting the ball, which is weird. Because I remember I watched the game. I was like, bro, why aren't you throwing to Hunter Renfro? This was before he got hurt. I was like, why aren't you throwing? He wide open. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then there's time when Devontae Adams on the sideline, like, bro, throw me the ball. Then you got Josh McDaniels, like, you have Josh Jacobs, Josh McDaniels. Why don't you run the rock? And it's crazy because some of those losses were because y'all didn't run the rock. So,
Right.
from a Raiders fan perspective, I kind of want to hear your thing. But coaching and quarterback, yeah, it's just I don't know, man. That team, you need a Motrin and the Advil and all that, bro. Watching them.
And like this is my thing is when you watch the games and then you go and you look at the games in which we were in and
Mm-hmm.
then you compare and this is where I say that I believe McDaniels deserves I'll give him 60% and 40% on Derek Carr.
I like that. So we were close. Yeah.
And so because I don't think that the defense is playing so bad. Because when you look at the numbers, it's not like
Crosby got a sack in that game too.
yeah, like
Mm.
we're not getting blown out. We're not like it's not a crazy amount of points being scored.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why for me, I think the defense is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. I think that sometimes McDaniels just believes he's the smartest man in the room, and it's like in certain positions where you have a workhorse and Josh Jacobs hand him the rock, and then it's like the games where we're actually handing him the rock, we're in the games,
Yeah.
and then when we don't hand him the rock, it's like we find a way to lose it, or teams find a way to come back. We've given up 3 17-point leads, and that's where I think that you can't put it on the quarterback because it's more than just the quarterback at that point.
Yeah. Situational play
Excuse me.
calling
It's
matters.
bigger. It's bigger than the quarterback at that point. If you're losing that many games by that many.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think it's wild. It sucks being a Raider fan in this moment in time because we had such high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But it just is what it is. Derek Carr, keep giving you speeches. I rock with you. I think it shows that he cares.
Mm-hmm.
And in a moment like this, where with so much expectation, it could be you can see the quarterbacks that's like, "Hey, I got paid. It sucks we lost, but I got paid."
Right.
Where he actually cares that they're losing. So I would much rather see that than to see,
A Jay Cutler.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Hey, somebody, yeah, pretty much a Jay Cutler attitude. Like, nope. So I got my paycheck.
right.
So,
Shoulder shrug. I got paid.
all right. Hey,
I
that
don't know
dude
about
didn't
y'all.
care about anything, man. So,
Exactly. So on to the next one. So adding a new segment, help or hurt,
hmm
is James Wiseman has been demoted
yeah.
to the G League. There's plenty of players that were demoted to the G League, came back up and balled out. There's plenty of people that got their start from the G League. Jordan Poole went on to say that he had a conversation with him about his experience and how you're going to get all the shots you want.
hmm
You get to work on all the moves you want. You're going to get all the minutes that you want.
hmm
So, with all of this being said, does this help or hurt?
Well, it's supposed to help. That's the reason why people get demoted usually. Um, excuse me. It's supposed to help, and I'm glad you mentioned Jordan Poole's experience because Jordan Poole, if we remember, guys, was a player who Warriors fans denounced, called different types of names, didn't want him on the team when he was struggling. Not everyone, not saying everybody. Goes to the G League, comes back, gets his confidence, you know what I'm saying? And now he looks like the man, you know what I'm saying? Almost at times.
Right.
So not over Steph Curry, but you know what I'm saying, as like the second coming, and all that kind of stuff of, their next development. So with James Wiseman, and I think they need to put Kaminga in the G League too. But anyway, I'm not sure if they did. But that's the first person they should have put to the band to the shadow realm, bro. Be like, look, man, all that running, dunking, and all whatever you doing, bro. Like, come on, man. You need to play better, play within the flow of the offense, whatever. I think it can't help James Wiseman because I think it's going to be trial by fire with those guys. And they really want to get these dudes up to speed for the playoff push because they're going to have an integral, be an important role, excuse me, Ralph, in that team as it moving forward as the season wanes. The team's development is kind of based off of their development because we're looking at Steph Curry right now, who I'm sure you've noticed has been on a spree of scoring 40 points a game, shooting high efficiency and all that, and that's nice and what's that word, hunky dory and all that kind of stuff. However, when I think of the Steph Currys of the world, when I think of a player like a Joel Embiid, I'm tying this all in. I don't really want to see the star player have to quote unquote carry the team so heavily so early in the season when you're this is a season when you have an older Klay Thompson, an older Curry, and older Draymond who all you talked about was leaning heavier on those young players. So I think with James Wiseman, hopefully this can get his mind right, get his game right. um some people are going to have questions about whether or not that fit actually fits. Is the Warrior system really meant to have a big? But they believe all you need to do is rim run and protect the rim as well on the defensive end. And JaVale McGee was able to do it. James Wiseman has a more broader skill set than JaVale McGee. So how is that going to really function though? And then the last thing I was going to say about the James Wiseman situation is as much as people like to put a lot of onus of blame on James Wiseman, I think objectively and also realistically, Ralph, I know it's early in the season, but we need to address the fact that they did lose Mike Brown, someone who was an integral piece of their defensive identity and philosophy. I think they'll still be able to play defense, but there's not that emphasis there as much with how their defensive stats have looked. And they did lose GP2. So you lost GP2 and another player as well, and then you lost Mike Brown. So I think that their defense has some chinks in that armor, or at least has taken a step back. And I think there's a sense of urgency by sending Kaminga, sending old boy James Wiseman and others there. So I do believe overall though the G League can help, and it just all comes down to the type of attitude that a player tackles it with.
I do believe that it is the. I think it's how the team handles it, while also how
Mhm.
the player handles it. I think that if he handles it with the right mindset, like Jordan Poole said, but I also think that their situations are different.
Thank you.
Where
Number one pick or number two pick, right?
Jo- not even necessarily that part. I'm talking about
Okay.
like
Mhm.
where they are as players and where they fit.
In the scheme.
Where because we had Sean Livingston, we had Andre Iguodala, we
Mhm.
had Leandro Barbosa, we had so many different players that were coming off the bench that were there to add buckets off the bench.
Mm.
So now you get rid of the older crowd, you come in, you bring in a younger wave where Jordan Poole can be that flash in the pan, where his game is going to be predicated on can he be that third splash brother?
All right.
Because KD left. So now you bring in Wiseman, who is more expected to be like a JaVale McGee, but that's not
Mhm.
his game.
Exactly. Hmm.
So now you bring him down to the G League, but it's also like, are you going to let him play his game, or are you bringing him down to show him to give him an opportunity? This is what we need you to do. I need you to get good at these things while being down here,
Right.
because you can hold him back while also not. I think that sometimes I don't think people understand that some people are rhythm players,
Hmm.
and he could be a big that's a rhythm guy. I need the rock. I gotta touch it. Give me a few dribbles.
Right.
Throw it to me in the post. Throw it to me in the mid post. Throw it to me at the elbow. Give it to me at the top of the key and let me see what I can do. But then also, if you look at how the offense is ran, it's not really ran that way.
No, not at all.
So one, it doesn't fit his skill set, and two, his skill set doesn't fit the team.
Yeah.
So is he
Conflict of
willing?
interest.
Is he willing to take a
Right.
step back for the betterment of the team
Hmm.
and just block shots, set hard screens, and crash hard to the rim?
Hmm.
Because you see, everybody's seen the play where he screens and then sets up in the post and gets
Hmm.
waved off and he's upset. So it's just a matter of can he take a step back and do what's in the betterment of the team, or can the team change it to where he comes in and you kind of add him into the fold? But I just don't think that they would either have to lose Draymond or Steph would have to lose a step
Yeah.
for him because I think that with Draymond, Wiseman can take Draymond's spot, but you can't have Wiseman and Draymond at the same time. Where I think Clay getting older, you can have Jordan Poole take that spot with Steph because Steph is so good off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it just
Cause
not
see,
really hurt. It's
cause
not
see,
really
here's the
helping
thing.
old boy.
Here's the thing with the Draymond thing. Remember, Kaminga was supposed to get those Draymond minutes, but every time Kaminga would be in the in the game, he'd be doing some BS. So they benched him. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So the youngest. So out of all these players, I'm like, you're benching players, you're sending players to the G League. The only player that I've seen anyone do anything productive has been Moses Moody when he gets in the game.
right,
And so I was talking to shout out to our homie, talking to the homie, and I said, bro, I was like, I'm not saying I don't believe him because he's like, it's still early. I still believe in him. People are sensitive about the Draymond and Jordan Poole. I was like, bro, my thing is, look, I think it's Draymond gets on Jordan Poole for certain things. I still think that whole entire dynamic is messed up, straight up. I'm just gonna be real. I'm entitled to believe what I believe. I think that dynamic's messed up. I I I think that them sending Jay Wiseman to the G League. I think them losing Mike Brown. I think GB2 losing. I mean losing him. I think all these things are going to come back, at some point, or they're showing. However, like, but did you pick? I was like, yeah, I did pick them to make the NBA Finals because at the end of the day, they're a team that I see more. They're a team that can beat any team as currently constructed. However, they're also a team that can beat themselves. And so I
right,
think in this situation, it's do they have some type of cracks in their armor where they can beat themselves? And if someone was going to ask me, straight up, I would say yes. Will that happen? Is yet to be seen, or should I say, will a team be able to take advantage of that? But I mean, I look at teams like Denver. I still believe in the Pelicans is early. They need to get everything right, but Denver looks great, like we talked about. So I think let's come back, like we said, at the All Star after the All Star break, and really see how the young guys perform. Because, like I said, me and you, we're not worried about Steph Curry right now. Klay
right,
Thompson, he actually stepped up after Charles Barkley's comments. But he's still older and longer in the tooth. But we'll see, man. But yeah, I think the G League, what you said, bro, it's sometimes like you trying to force a fit that might not be there. That's all.
right. So in this instance, I think it can help.
Mm-hmm.
I think that given the situation, it can hurt. But in this instance, I think
Yeah.
it's going to serve him some good.
Yeah.
So in the long run, it's going to help. On to the next. We got Mikey Williams committing to Penny Hardaway at Memphis. We got DJ Wagner Jr. going to
Yeah.
and a slew of others that went to Kentucky. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, instead of going with the G League Ignite, instead of going overseas, so right now we're thinking about the actual individual. Does it help you or hurt you? And we've talked about how many players have been on this Ignite team all at
Mm-hmm.
the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, does it hurt or help going to college versus playing professional basketball somewhere?
I'm always going with the professional basketball. You get a chance to play against grown men. You get paid. You play grown men and getting paid. And not to take a knock on my boy Penny Hardaway, but after his little stint with Amani Bates and playing him out of position, I'm like, bro. By the way, shout out to Amani Bates. This dude's been hooping. By the way, I don't know if you
Right.
saw him,
Yeah, yeah,
what he did against Michigan, man.
yeah. I
Hey,
was
he
gonna
was
say he
there.
balled out against Michigan.
Right, right. Yo, this dude was pulling up from Bora Bora, man. Hey, his athleticism needs some work, man. Hey, someone put him in a plyometric program or something, man. Please put him in a plyometric program. Look, man, I'm like he better than me at this juncture in my lifetime and all that. But like, bro, put him in a plyometric program. But Penny, um, Calipari, I'm not worried about, bro. But I'm all for the G League at night. The only thing is, like you said, it's the players. Like you need to give those guys burn. And we talked about
Yeah,
teams, but we also talked about expanding the teams.
right.
So if they actually expand the teams, that's not a problem. So yeah, um, but
And
I'm
that's the
always
thing for
cool.
me
Yeah,
is why I
go
like.
ahead. Mhm.
I'm gonna say I disagree.
Okay,
I
because of
think that
the
there's a
thank
multitude of different things of why.
you. Mhm.
Because we all watched what's my man Jesus Shuttlesworth, and he got game.
Yeah,
When you're the man on campus, there's a certain type of confidence that you have that you need to build to get to the league.
great point.
And so I
Bring it
think
back.
that being a Mikey Williams, playing the guard position under the tutelage of a Penny Hardaway,
Mhm.
while also you see the way that the team is gravitated, how the city of Memphis is gravitated to one, Mikey Williams, two, the Grizzlies themselves.
Mm.
So now you're the man of the city. You have that confidence. You get to
Mhm.
still learn from a former NBA player. You get to still, and this is just one example. I'm not. I'm using this.
Right.
I'm using this one example, but
For this
I
particular
just think
situation.
that being the man on campus, still getting to learn your game while also being the man on your team,
Mm. Mhm.
I think that given the situation and where you go and who you learn under can pay huge dividends. And that's why, like, if they were to expand it where, like, the G League was 3 or 4 teams, 2 to 3 teams that you could get put on for you to get to the next level, then cool. I wouldn't really have a problem with my son going to that school or like my daughter going to the league type of thing. But it's like they put 7 or 8 lottery picks on one team and then expect them to play team ball
Yeah.
where not everybody's skill set is based around that type of that way. Not everybody's willing to play a role that early in their career, while also
Mm.
you're not like a lot of these dudes are. They're going there with the aspiration of being that guy when they get to the league.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna say I'm the sixth or seventh dude on the team,
Chemistry.
but then my situation is where I want to go. I'm trying to be a top 10 pick,
Right. And they'll tell you that too. They'll
and
vocally
so
tell
I
you.
think that I
Yeah.
think that there's some situations where it can work for you.
Mhm.
What's a boy that's playing for the uh playing for the Pelicans right now? He's came in good minutes and
Dyson Daniels.
played very
Dyson
well.
Daniels.
Yeah, he's came in
Yeah.
and played good minutes when he gets the opportunities.
Mhm.
But it's like not every situation works that way. It works that well.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a
Yeah.
small sample size.
Yeah. He
I think
fulfills
it
the
hurt.
duties.
I think it
Yeah.
helps going to college. Hurts going to playing for the G League at night.
The only person that would disagree is Ben Simmons, but anyway, we're not gonna get into that. But see, Ben Simmons didn't have to go to the G League. He just went straight to the from college. But that was a gap year. He was like, "Yeah, bro." He's like LSU. He's like, he told in JJ
Right.
Redick's podcast. He's like, "Yeah, I was just there." Yeah.
I don't think that everybody should have to go to college, but that's a whole other
Nah,
topic.
that's a whole
And
nother
then
topic.
last hurt or help, we all scoffed at the idea of Russell Westbrook going to the bench. But now seeing how he has played coming off the bench, is this helping or hurting his legacy?
It's helping his legacy, which I don't think highly of to begin with. Respectfully, I'm just not big on Russell Westbrook. I told people that, but we're not going to get into that. I say it, I say it helps his legacy because I think about another guy who didn't come off the bench. As crazy and blasphemy as it seems, that you would have to ask him to come off the bench, but at that particular time, you kind of had to, was Allen Iverson, and we saw how his career went and ended, unfortunately. And you always regret certain things and stuff in life, and talk about it. And so we never want to see a player Russell Westbrook's caliber just be like, all right, bro, well, you're not on the team. No team wants you. So for him to be able to accept that role, I think the biggest thing needs to props to Darvin Ham for being able to get Russell Westbrook to accept that role. Now, ultimately, are the Lakers still going to be trash? Yeah, they're still going to be a trash team, not talent wise, but in terms of just like overall, you have a lot of things that just don't fit and gel with that team. But Russell Westbrook coming off the bench helps because you cannot have two ball dominant guys in LeBron James and Russell Westbrook on the court at the same time for extended periods of time, with Russ having the ball in his hands without LeBron being the primary decision maker. That's the problem that you have. There have been times in the games when you see them both on the court, which I'm sure you've seen, where okay, LeBron can make a play with Russ and all that. Cool. But consistently, since that team has been put together, which we talked about, never should have been put together to begin with, kept the whole team, LeBron James is always going to be your best decision maker, period. Best decision maker in basketball. You want him and his IQ plays to distribute the basketball. When it's just Russ, you want Russ and AD because they can play off each other just the same way as LeBron and AD played off each other. That's what made them deadly, right? Player efficiency, all that. So it's just all about an optimal fit. In the Russ, LeBron James, Laker fit was not an optimal fit to begin with. So now what you're doing is you're conceding, hey, we made a mistake. So now let's bring not LeBron. So let's bring Russell Westbrook off the bench and then go from there. So yeah, like I said, they had a little spark when they started, but the Lakers, it's not moving the needle, bro. And eventually you're gonna have all these other teams that are struggling. They're gonna get better. Like, look, the Clippers are winning games. Grizzlies are winning games. We didn't think Portland. We thought they were gonna be okay, but we didn't think Portland was gonna be what they are
Like how they
now.
are now.
So until teams start tanking, like the Spurs ain't tanking, like it's just how it is, Ralph. Lakers, man, y'all need to trade AD something. Like, I got
Yeah.
nothing else. I've watched that team for years. I'm just over them. It, you know, yeah.
And on to the last topic, man. The Juke Boys early season NBA MVP.
I'm gonna let you sit that one off, bro. It's a
For
tough one.
me, man,
A lot of the good ones too.
there's a lot of good ones, man. I think that Luca is probably going to be everyone's
Mm.
early
Luca the
season
Don,
MVP.
Don Juan DeMarco.
Giannis is another one that could possibly get it.
The Greek freak, man. I can't be
But
handsome and humble and handsome. I saw that.
but
Shout out to Giannis, bro.
my boy, my guy,
Ja.
you
No.
already know.
Okay. Okay. I saw that.
John's that dude, man. 28 points,
Yeah.
almost shooting 50%, shooting 41% from three,
Mm.
7 assists, six rebounds
Mm-hmm.
off just 33 minutes.
Mm.
I got to look up and see what is their team's record, but I just think that what he was able to do last year
Mm-hmm.
and
I'm looking at
the
their record right now.
entry and how it affected the team, they were still able to take that team the eventual champion to 6 games without Ja.
9-5
So
right now.
I think that the sky's the limit,
Okay.
and he is my early season MVP.
Okay. So to follow up on you, like for your case, 9-5 right now, 6-4 in the last 10. They're fourth in the standings, Western
Okay,
Conference standings. So you know who I'm gonna give my MVP to? And there's a couple ones. I could give it to Jason Tatum at the top, 11-3. I could give it to Jason Tatum and playing great, man.
right.
I could give it to the Greek Freak at 10-3 without Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton, he's my defensive player of the year, at least that. Might even win the MVP. I could give it to Luca the Don, man, and I could give it to Dame Dollar. Could Dame Dollar win the MVP? Is he doing enough right now? No other complimentary star anywhere on the horizon. No Hoodie Mello, no nobody. That being said, you leave me no choice. My MVP is KD.
You lying. I was gonna say, I know you fucking
I was trying
lying.
to see.
Yeah, no, you lying.
I was trying to see your reaction, bro.
I was like, I know I didn't hear that right.
You messed it up, Rob. I was hoping your reaction. Now I'm playing. I'm like, for him to having to deal with all that buffoonery, man. Hey, look, hey, KD might, hey, he might as well be in the race, man. I mean, 6-8, right? I mean, they 6-8, but hey, he's had to deal with all the court stuff. He's had to deal with Joe Tsai. He's had to deal with the coach, right? KD, I'm gonna say KD is the most mentally durable right now, MVP. But no, my MVP, I'm gonna give it to Damian Lillard right now. Actually, early
Really?
season, early season. You know what? Why not? Probably to be the only time Damian Lillard gets any MVP consideration, right? So I'm gonna give it to Damian Lillard.
You know what? I actually really don't have a problem with that because his team is 9-4,
Yeah, I
and
didn't expect.
he's a clear leader on the team, obvious leader on the team.
Mm,
With he's averaging 29, 5, and 6.
mm-hmm. He's come up clutch. he's come- he, he's like yeah, he's come up clutch though.
He's definitely come up clutch. They got some good victories.
Yeah.
They beat Denver.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Miami.
It's a conversation. I think it's a
I
conversation.
think it's a good conversation. I think one thing I do want to say, shout out to
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups.
Coach of the year,
Yeah,
early coach of the year, because if they wind up sinking to like 27 and like 73 or something, I don't know. He ain't gonna win nothing, but
right. You never know. Somebody will mess around and get hurt, and the next thing you know, the
right,
season is over with.
right. He's like, Chauncey, we're relieving you of your duties. Why? Because Dame got hurt. Yeah. I'm like, what? But no, we don't want that to happen to our brother, man. We need these young brothers to get a chance, man. So no, but yeah, man. It's I think with all due respect, anyone is fooling themselves. Not saying you are or me. I think anyone is fooling themselves to say that there's not multiple players who have a case, because you know how some people are so hell bent on like I remember early it was like, oh, and no disrespect, because I think I had him MVP. We're like, oh, Giannis is going to get the MVP. And then Luca came off strong like crazy. And then it's like, wait, but Jason Tatum's been doing this all season. And then we forget about Dame. You know what I'm saying? So I like the fact that there's a level of parity, Ralph, in the league right now. Star players playing like star players. Paul George was looking good. I'm not going to say MVP because with Paul George, it's all about consistency. With Kawhi out, it's always he'll play really good and then he's going to get hurt because Kawhi is out. So that's going to put more pressure on Paul George to wind up getting hurt. And I feel like I'm missing somebody else. Embiid had an MVP type performance the other day. Shout out to Joel Embiid.
I say he scored like 102 points in 2 games.
In 2 games. That was good. And the crazy thing is, that was good for fourth in terms of most points scored in a 2 game span. There's actually a stat for that. Out of like what 10 players or whatever, Kobe's the only person on there twice. He's number 1 and number 7. I'm like, bro, that dude.
I would assume it would be the 81 points plus the next game.
Yeah, that one. It was either one of them joints or like the because remember he went on the 4 game streak of 50 points, a 7 game streak of he went on crazy streaks where the dude averaged 56.3 points per game for a month, bro. I'm like, what? James Harden's on there, and then Bernard King.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Your favorite player's favorite player.
Yeah.
Or at least he's at least your dad's favorite player.
Right. Yeah. He at least be the dad's favorite player. So yeah. But we
got
got
because I know if you go to your dad's room right now and ask him, hey, what you think of Bernard King? He probably gonna go off for like at least 30 minutes about how nice Bernard King was.
My dad's favorite all-time player is actually Earl the Pearl Monroe, who also played for him.
Yep, that's another one.
Earl the Pearl. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one that like I don't think.
Yeah, go ahead.
These young cats don't know nothing about. Right. And then since we got some more time, man, we got to talk about our brother Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how you feel about him and the documentary and him sharing the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
He's met with Adam Silver. He met with the owner, who said that he felt like he was contrite in his apology.
Right.
So at this point, why is he still suspended?
It's unwarranted.
And
The
this is the
suspension is
part that
unwarranted.
where and this is where people say I'm a conspiracy theorist. But it's just so much to it that it's like it just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it's a personal attack on Kyrie Irving,
Mm-hmm.
or they're just truly trying to send a message. Do not for the next person. They're literally bug breaking to the point where they're scaring the next person who would think to even do half of what he did. And I honestly don't even really get like I understand,
Right.
but if you've never seen, most people that I speak with haven't even seen the film or read the book.
Right.
So now you're literally going based off of how someone else felt about said book and said film. And
Yeah.
so I have had the pleasure of having conversations with some brothers that were some Hebrew Israelites. I do think that some of them could be a little aggressive. And when I say a little, I mean a lot. But at the same time, once you speak and have these conversations, and we're going based off of things that are in the Bible, some things are based on opinion and some things can be proven to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily believe that one thing means the other. So, and I think that too often, I think in our society, we go based off of how things make people feel. But when it comes to black people, they don't care about how we feel. How many slave movies are we going to keep getting?
Too many.
It's too many slave movies.
Every like 4 years it seems.
But although, and I'm not saying that I believe in the Hebrew Israelite thing
Mm-hmm.
or I don't, but to a person that has never heard of that and is also a black American while also looking for an identity within this American society where everybody can trace their roots back to their home country. But if when we go to school, our history starts with slavery, and it's like, bro, there has to be something before that.
Yeah.
So
Because
for the
we were
people
on
that's
Earth
looking
forever.
for it, I do think it's an interesting topic and an interesting conversation. If you've actually can go into it with an open mind and not just be closed off because of immediately who the person is and what they're saying. And
And
I think
I
that
think you
that's
nailed that. Yeah, you nailed that part right there. Go ahead.
and that's the part where I think that Kyrie came from a place of that's where he was at. I think it's interesting. I think that for the sake of the conversation, you should get an idea of this documentary for yourself or this book for yourself. Because immediately he said that I'm not here for hate. So I never understood that why they just because he didn't come out and say I do not agree with this film or
Mm-hmm.
do not agree with anti-Semitism. He came out immediately and says I'm for all walks of life. So I don't understand. I think a lot of it had to do with, and this is why I disagree with it so wholeheartedly
It's the person
because
who was speaking is Kyrie, so they don't like him off the bat, which is unfair. You know what
right,
I'm saying? So
it's super unfair.
yeah. So I
And
agree.
so
I have nothing else. I agree with everything you said, bro. And I believe, like we said, that there's an axe to grind with his lack of the vaccination status of last year. I'm gonna openly say that. I believe there's that. And I believe Joe Tsai feels this type of way. And I feel like there's a lot of tap dancers on TV. So that's all I'm gonna say.
oh god, and shout out to Jay Will.
Yeah, shout out
Um,
to Jay Will, man.
Shout out to you know what? This is one thing I do. I definitely wanted to have this conversation.
Hmm.
I think that there's a line that you cross where this is where we talk about this tap dancing conversation. I think that when you're and anybody who ever has had a basketball conversation with me knows how strongly I feel about Charles Barkley
Yeah, as a
as the
player and all that.
basketball player.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that it's okay to be outspoken. I think it's okay to be brash. I think it's okay to speak how you feel. But at the same time, I think that when you come out and call someone out their name,
I hate that. I'm straight up. I
that's
hate
where
that.
like I just genuinely don't like that.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're gonna come out and say, hey, and I'm gonna say this last little thing, 'cause I just realized we went over time.
Mhm.
If you're gonna come out and say he's not conscious, we're conscious.
Mhm.
You're gonna come out and say, oh, this person's an idiot. You're gonna call someone stupid. I think that that's where we draw the line. We're and y'all know how I feel about Shannon Sharp. It's okay. I don't think that we got to agree on everything as black people, because since he has then defended Kyrie by saying why is he still suspended and the terms of the suspension, now they're like, well, you got to pick a side, and it's like I'm on the black side regardless, but at the end
Right.
of the day, wrong is wrong, and if he feels like he was wrong, then he's allowed to feel that he's wrong. But I don't understand. I don't see how that's coding, tap dancing, or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
But we've gone over on time. Thank you all for watching. We got to get out of here. Make sure you pay attention to all the socials. Uh, keep following all the reels. Our Juke Boy NFL players of the week will be posted in the morning. Peace out. Thank you.